happy phantoms and all the wizards black and white. I'm Kristen.
Joey.
And maybe I'm a witch.
And we are introverted, but willing to discuss Tori Amos. Now, there's not just one Tori Amos. There's the mystical Tori Amos, the one who whispers and stirs your soul with a single dramatically drawn, breathy sigh, ethereal and enchanted. Imagine her as a church choir girl sun, fairy moon, and a mermaid rising if you're into astrology. And then there's the sensual Tori, the one who moves like honey, undulating on the piano bench, eyes half closed, turning her microphone into a lover. Desire and divinity inhabit the same body, and she always finishes on top. And then there's the Tori who bares her teeth, growls, screams, and slams the keys. You have seen this Tori in various forms. She's the one who famously performed a song about her own assault while gripping a knife on stage. This Halloween, as the veil between worlds grows thin, we're calling on that Tori, the one who kicked out the lady in the white shirt. Does she fucking mind? Because Scary Tori isn't a costume. She's a force of nature, part witch, part warrior, and she's on a mission. This Tori channels something ancient through her piano, and what she finds might even surprise her at times. So today, in honor of the season of shadows, we're talking about Scary Tori, the power that makes you flinch and then lean closer. Boys, it's Hallows Eve, All Hallows Eve.
Yikes.
What do you think of my wig? If you're not on YouTube or a video, Spotify, you need to immediately go Google and get over.
Do you think they can find you by Googling Kristen Key's red wig?
I hope. Probably.
Will that be your new LinkedIn photo?
No, it won't be. So, Matthew, you're a witch lost in time, Joey's final boy, and I'm ADP Cheeto wig.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's okay. Joey said I shouldn't dye my hair red, but I feel good about it.
I just think you're a born blonde, girl. You gotta, if it's too loud, turn it up. If it's too blonde, bleach it up.
Okay, great. Well, I think this is a fun episode for us for a few reasons. One, I think a lot of people love Scary Tori. I'm definitely a huge Scary Tori fan. Mm-hmm. But also super unique because Joey is our expert, our horror expert. If our listeners don't know, our very own Joey Valisi's other love, other than Tori Amos, is horror. And he's the editor of It Came From the Closet, Queer Reflections on Horror, a collection of essays about horror films as analyzed by queer and trans writers. So Joey, tell us a little bit about your love of horror and why this is a special crossover episode for you.
Oh, wow. Well, first, It Came From the Closet, Queer Reflections on Horror. We just celebrated the 3-year book birthday in the U.S. You can get it from feministpress.org or any bookstore. Support your local bookshop so you can get it. She's in Barnes & Noble. She's on Amazon. But, if you can go to your local, that's better. And then UK and Europe, we have an expanded edition that came out in 2023 with a new foreword, another essay by Kirsty Logan, who is a witchy Scottish writer, and you can find that via Saraband Books. I don't know. I've loved horror for as long as I can remember. My father is a big horror movie buff, and so I was the baby of 4. So I just grew up watching them. It's like kind of wild because my son is 5, and I'm pretty positive by 5 I was watching scary movies, but I can't imagine ever showing him. I mean, he would be too scared to watch like anything.
What kind of things were you watching when you were a kid? I'm so curious.
I mean, definitely like Freddy Krueger,
Oh my God.
The Halloween movies, just random slashers and stuff. But I had older siblings, right? So the TV was always on, HBO was always on. And, this is kind of runs parallel to my discovery of Tori, right? Like I was quite young when I discovered Tori, and it was because my sister was listening to her in her room, right? So a lot of these discoveries just kind of happened. Music, movies, they happened because you're in a small space with all these like weird, like not quite your friends, kids that are just around the house, right? AKA your sister and brothers, and you learn things from them. And so I think that I just learned not to really, I certainly got scared of some things, like some things were too much for me. The Hellraiser movies were, I famously convince my uncle to take me and my siblings to go see Hellbound Hellraiser 2 on Christmas Day, and
Oh
I
my
was
God.
probably 6, and I had to like run to the hall because I was scared. They were all fine, but I was way too scared. I was too scared of Pet Cemetery. I had to leave.
Oh.
I used to run to the lobby and like watch from like the crack door, and then I would come back. But most of the time, I was okay. I learned the difference between real life and make believe very young. It definitely awakened the storyteller in me. Horror is sort of the first thing that I got excited about in the way that I really was always wanted to share it with other people and watch their reactions to things that I had seen already. And Tori was like the second thing like that, when I got older, and I just wanted to share what I thought was so remarkable. So in a lot of ways, there's a parallel. And one of the things I've loved about Tori from the beginning was that darkness, like Tori is, I wouldn't say Tori's goth, but she's gothic. Tori is like
Right.
gothic literature, and that's been true
Right.
since Little Earthquakes. And we'll talk about it. We'll get there. But I think of scary Tori, not just sort of the demon Tori who growls and grunts but I think about like subtler moments that have been happening right from the start. There's evidence, I think, somewhere that she said, somewhere in the early 90s, that she was a big Twin Peaks fan, and that makes a lot of sense because there's a Lynchian thing about her. There's a, I don't know that she would say she watched horror movies, but I feel like she's influenced by the genre, and
Mm.
it comes out in unexpected ways, So I think there's a kinship there.
I think that the reason she's able to seem so scary, even in those subtler moments, is she's able to describe nightmares just as much as she is able to
Great.
describe a dream, right?
Beautiful
And
said.
the
Yep.
way Tori describes a nightmare is terrifying. I think of some of the later songs, for example, and for me, when I think of Scary Tori, immediately, for some reason, I go right to Strange Little Girls, because
Yeah.
I find there's several really creepy, I would say Halloween season appropriate songs. And of course, 97 Bonnie and Clyde is one of them, a
Yes.
visionary genius reimagining of an already scary and dark rap song. I'm Not in Love, I think, is another one that's just really, it creeps in, it creeps and creaks. And then we have another song like Raining Blood, for example, which I think is classic Tori, but also terrifying. And it's not just the immediate obvious visual of raining blood. It's also that mood and that atmosphere that she creates that is really just like a waking nightmare almost. I love it.
Honestly, Maddie, even her cover of Enjoy the Silence is eerie. Right? Like she pulls something out of that that's like beautiful, but beyond haunting. It's so sparse, it's so chilly, and it feels like so she feels so alone in that song, which is such an irony given what the imagery is supposed to portray, right? Yeah, no, I think Tori has an eerie etherealness about her that still exists. It's just not quite in the same way. But in that first 10 years or so of output, I think it's very, very prominent.
I mean, I think, and I know it's kind of a creepy song too, but like her After All from the same period is just as creepy as all of that. I mean, I think our fall release probably like the weather's turning. I always like Strange Little Girls is so fall to me, but yeah, everything is a little creepy, in the best way, of course.
And also, don't forget, she's dressing up for each of those characters, for each of those songs. So she's putting on a costume, right? Seasonal. I never even thought of that.
Well, and to start the tour with 97 Bonnie and Clyde, just like every show to like infuse the room with this darkness was a really interesting decision on her part. We talked about it quite a bit on the Strange Little Girls episode from season 1, which I recommend everybody go back and watch or listen to. But, we talked about how like there was something about parenthood that it's such a joyful time, but it also makes you so keenly, sharply attuned to the horrors of the world and your basest fears. And I think that that's why, like, there was a guy that I used to chat with online who kind of was like fading away from Tori around Strange Little Girls. And I remember him listening to it and he was like, I don't know. It's just such a bummer of an album. Like, I don't know if I want to listen to this. And it was so funny because I was like, that's what I love about it. You know,
Yeah.
like I love that it's like such a bummer, you know, that she wasn't doing like cheesy covers. Like there was like a through line of like
Mhm.
darkness, right? It's a heart
Mhm.
of darkness in that record.
Very much so. And I mean, I think for people who are maybe just tuning in and not completely familiar with what we're talking about, 97 Bonnie and Clyde is a song about a man murdering his wife. And Tori takes it and flips the script and does the song from the perspective of this woman who's being murdered, put in a trunk, and then thrown into a body of water in front of her infant daughter.
Yeah.
It's gruesome, it's heinous, it's a scary, awful tale of abuse. It's also like very believable because things like
Yeah.
this happen on a daily basis, obviously. But the way Tori does it is so chilling, and the strings in the song give it an almost Hitchcockian sort of feeling.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's
I was
just
going to say
an
that.
atmosphere of dread that she conjures up with that song that I think is like at the apex of Scary Tori. If we're putting Scary Tori into a pyramid, I really put it up at the top. It's one of
Yeah.
the ones that really
Yeah.
conjures that mood. And I think that, yeah, Joey, you're right. It was a deliberate choice and a through line through that entire album. There's something very disturbing through the whole record.
Well, and famously, she had Mark and Marcel build a box for her to sing it in. So she put herself in a coffin basically to record the vocal. And it fucking sounds like that. Like it sounds like she is buried, you know? And yeah. And also, you know, the sort of prescient nature of the fact that she records this record and it comes out right after 9/11.
Mhm.
This like horrible coincidence that she felt this sort of doom around us about, you know, like it just, you know, that's what makes Strange Little Girls to me such a interesting and scary time capsule.
I I would love to go back to the
Yeah.
90s, if we could start in the
Yeah.
90s. And I
Oh yeah.
say that because I was thinking about I think that Tori, Scary Tori, Feral Tori, it goes by many different names, but I think it
Yeah.
can manifest itself differently depending on the era or the time, totally. And I do think sometimes it comes with a full body black rubber suit, and sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay. But
Right.
I remember very distinctly when I was first listening to Tori, and I was like, this is, like, unhinged and scary. Listening to the pool was one of those moments where I was like, "Well, this is creepy as hell." But
Yeah.
then specifically thinking about, the '96 New York show, Blood Roses and Professional Widow, and those moments where I was like, "Whoa, this is so much more than it seems just on MTV." And I mean, it already seemed, to your point, kind of like gothic, right? Already had, like, a lot of mood, it had a lot of nuance, but it was creepy, and everything kind of felt pretty binary in the '90s. I didn't feel like there were artists that were able to kind of be as out there with their nuances as Tori, and so you've got this, like, really beautiful young woman who can, play the piano like no other and sing really beautiful songs, and then this other stuff is really scary. What about for you guys? Like, when you go back to the '90s, what are some of those key moments that you think of as, like, "This is way deeper than I even thought it was?"
I immediately, like, for me, it was here in my head, the "Do you know what this is
Mm.
doing to me" part.
Wow.
She always goes to, well, not always, but in the performances that I've been lucky enough to see, and certainly in the like live video that she put out at the very beginning of her career, which had Here in My Head on it, and it was kind of the only way you could see Here in My Head at that time. That moment where she does that part, I felt like she really just like left her body, went to a different
Mhm.
place, and it was like she was almost channeling something. To me, that moment right there is terrifying. And I've seen it live, and it does the same thing to me live. When she's like locked into that song, it's terrifying.
Even the studio version, the B-side, like the proper recording of it is just this like this like yearning like cry that you know, moves out of like romantic frustration into something darker,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
And it's not necessarily her darkness, but the darkness that's been sort of inflicted on her and pushed on her by this lover who's fucking with her head, right?
Mhm.
And I think when we can, the thing about Tori, especially in the 90s, is that there's a subversiveness to the way she strings imagery together. But often when you step back and you look at the imagery, the disparate lyrics, words, and images and phrases, there is like a code there. Like it feels like there's something sinister beneath it. Like she's trying to like either decode something herself or is speaking in a kind of cryptic in order to hide some other truth underneath it, right? And I had written in our notes that, as I was thinking about this episode, I was thinking about songs like Girl, Little Earthquakes, The Pool, Mean a Gun. Sort of that album and that era has a really subtle scariness to it. That it is the diary album. It's the introduction of Tori, the solo artist. But it's like, what was going on in studio that The Pool even came together? Like, what is that? Right? And she didn't do it live until 2017 in New York, the very first time, as far as we know. That was the first time she ever did it. And we were all looking at each other like, is this really The Pool right now? What is she like? This is bizarre. And then she did it again in 2023, I think, or 2022. But what even has to be going on for her to be like, I think I'm going to do this harmonizing a cappella, like witchy, like sorceress kind of moment. And then you compare it to something like Me and a Gun, this other a cappella moment, which is about this unspeakable violence and the thoughts going through somebody's head when they think they're going to die. That's what Me and a Gun is. Like, you think you're going to die, so you're thinking all these things in this moment, right? Because I have to get out of this. I have to. And that is so scary. That is so scary. And Me and a Gun is such a interesting corollary to 97 Bonnie and Clyde in that way. And that they don't get spoken about in that way that often, or maybe ever. I don't know if anybody ever has. But they should be. They should be spoken about side by side in that way. So yeah, and Girl, for example, Little Earthquakes is a little more obvious. There's vampires, there's graveyards, right? There's this really witchy, like the structure of the song is just, it goes to places that feel really, cinematic and like purposely unnerving in a way that actually like evokes some fear, but also culminates in beauty, right? And also her very liberal use of like the sort of male modulated vocal that overlays Little Earthquakes at the end and also is used in Girl for a bit. But so Little Earthquakes is more overt. Then you go to Girl, which is so beautiful and so aching, but is actually quite creepy. There's men in white jackets and, she's calling for herself and sort of the weird imagery that goes through her mind during the bridge. Girl's a scary song, Girl's a creepy song. So she's been doing it from the start,
Right.
I think on that record, you see somebody who's kind of like a medium almost, right? Like,
yeah,
really
yeah,
in
that's
touch
good.
with the netherworld or the other worlds that are, just like Kristen said in the intro, just beyond the veil. The veil is thin on that album, and she has a tangible connection. And I think each of those songs have an element, Joey, and it's so interesting that you said this, that those are the thoughts that you have when you're going to die. And I think there's a little bit of that scattered throughout the record, and a little bit of like cheeky things about the afterlife, like a vampire, like angels, etc.
Yeah.
And
Crucify, I'm sorry, Crucify is like, what a startling opening song. Like this idea of crucifying yourself. When you think of actual crucifixion, like crucifixion is brutal and horrific, and the idea that she is sort of, thinking about crucifying yourself. She's saying it in the figurative sense, but also the way she paints it, it feels like, I don't know, it feels like somebody who is going to self-immolate or something,
Yeah, I think that's real. And then think about it as a debut album, as a solo artist, those first 4 songs are really heavy and intense. And then the next song is about dying, but it's silly. You know what I mean? You're like, wait, oh my God. It's almost like the familiarity with the afterworld, even in such a silly song like Happy Phantom. You're
Yeah.
like, this bitch is on something next level. It's like, it's just that familiarity with it. I remember the first time I was like, was she talking about dying? Like, in this very kind of
Yeah.
tongue-in-cheek way that I thought was really commanding and cool.
Because there's
But
also reincarnation on the record too. Like she's
right.
thinking about afterlife, like you said, but also like where we end up and our energy. And, you know, some of it is sort of like woo-woo late 20s, like, you know, like 90s stuff, but it's still, I don't know, it's really effective and it feels genuine on her part. That's the thing. You never doubt that Tori believes the feeling of that moment when she's talking about these things, you know?
Yeah. I think, like, especially seeing something like Little Earthquakes live during those years, the 92, 94 years, she definitely uses it as a way to, like, it's like an exorcism type moment at the end.
Yeah.
So it's like by the time you're to 96 and we kind of see that, you know, copyright trademark, you know, Demon Tory starting to come out, it's like we'd already kind of been primed for that in various places. Like, Joey, I Know Pretty Good Years, one of your favorite songs. Like, imagine putting on that album and being like, what a beautiful song. You're hit with that moment of like a full body exorcism.
Yeah.
But that's why I feel, and it's funny because when people don't really know that much about Tori, when they just hear like, oh, she plays the piano, I think that's what they picture. And so if they're not ready for it, it's like, oh, shit, which is, I think, I don't know if any of y'all have ever had the experience of playing the Madison Square Garden show for anybody, but like that's what happens when they see that Tori for the first time, when they're not aware. Like, my husband has seen these things and it scares him, scares the shit out of him.
That aired on Lifetime television for women, you guys. They fucking aired like multiple songs from that show, you know? Like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if Precious Things was on there. They might have cut that one. But once it was like released on VHS for, you know, $24.99, people had it at home and they were like, what the fuck? You know? If you didn't know that that's what she was about, like, it's a shock, you know? Yeah, Maddie.
That's just that whole show is like a work of dark magic. I mean, that whole show is insane.
Yeah.
A lot of those performances in 96 that supported Boys for Pele are like that. I don't know what it was in her that made her choose to do that, but it did. Every show had an exorcism quality to it, and she was doing.
I don't know that she had a choice,
night.
Actually, Maddie. Right? I think that's
it. It was like go for broke. Yeah, I you know, and she had nothing to lose at that point. She had two very successful albums, and you know, the shows for Boys for Pele were very, very intense. And I'm sure, I can't imagine what they must have taken out of her as a performer. And you read the stories about how she would eat, you know, like raw steak and oysters and raw eggs and all of this like crazy stuff to work up the power to get out there and do these kind of like very out there things that other people have not done and were not doing and are not doing still. It was wild.
Yeah, it's like she was like, it was like she was trying to give voice to like her chakras. Like she was like digging as deeply as she could to see if she could like articulate sound from them, you know? Just to go back really quickly to Under the Pink, because I don't want to skip Under the Pink, because I think that Under the Pink is an interesting transition to Boys for Pele from that Little Earthquakes, because I don't think the record proper is doing as much of that sort of scary thing. There's sort of this like, there are moments of like real like intensity, but in terms of like what we consider like that scary Tori, we have like Sister Janet, which is very subdued, but really is her communing, you know, in part because the song is about many things, but it feels like her communing with the other side, right? And there's a, you know, this is like a seance that's happening in Sister Janet, you know, but also God is a creepy song. Creepy. It has those. There's a reason why a bunch of radio stations didn't want the guitars, because it sounded like this devil worship. You're singing about God needing a woman to look after him, and you have these screeching, animalistic, like inhuman sounds. And the music video, there's something that when you frame religious ritual in just the right light, it can be quite creepy and quite scary and off-putting. And that video does it. It has all of these little like snippets of different religions. You have Tori cutely canoodling with a bunch of rats.
I
and like
know.
dancing with the snakes, and like like the video is unsettling, the song is unsettling, and I think God sometimes gets a little bit like not overlooked because it was such a hit for her, but I think it gets sort of like I don't know, like sort of wrapped up in the early these alternative sort of like milieu that is sort of like cloaks, like people might group that with like Joan Osborne's "What If God Was One of Us," and they're not the
Right.
same kind of song, but they're both sort of doing this like
Not a compliment.
mainstream.
Oh,
Well, I
I've had
mean,
people ask me if that is the same person. I'm like, no. I mean, I don't know anything about Joan Osborne, so no
I
shade.
mean
But I'm
that
like, those songs are
But
not
that song is
similar.
like a great pop song from the 90s in its own way, but
Yeah.
there's this weird like folding of the songs like that together. Anything that sort of mentions religion or God, right? Like especially sung by a woman in the early 90s, like it's just kind of like swept into the same corner, but God is not that, God is something quite a bit darker and blasphemous depending on where you stand, but it's also creepy. Like what a burst of sound to come after a pretty good year, and like for that to be the big single off of the album, and yeah, it's pretty wild.
And don't forget, on this album, she's also doing a little bit more communing with the spirit world on Anastasia. And I think to a degree on Bells for Her. For me, Bells for Her is almost
Yes.
like a little bit of like a horror soundtrack, as
It's a
picked up
horror
on by
song.
Yellow Jackets, of course, last season, very
And
keenly.
yes, used beautifully, and several years earlier used in promotion materials for the Bates Motel series, like the second or third season. They did like because I mean it's just that
I don't know if I
that fixed
remember that
piano is just
intellectually, but I don't remember like what I'll pull it up soon
yeah.
and share it
Like I don't
here.
think it was in the show, but it was on
Yeah.
promos for the show. Also, just a quick shout out. Our last episode was the maestro John Philip Chanel, JPS, and we're talking about so many things that have so much to do with him.
Yeah.
Bells for Her. He prepared that piano. We talked about 97 Bonnie and Clyde. That's all him. That's all his playing on there. So he's a fixture in that sort of sound of sort of communing with the dark forces, and going to those places. So we have to shout him out for that.
Ooh, bodes well for what's about to happen, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
What, the gnarly stuff?
The gnarly work ahead
Yeah,
in
we'll
Time
find out.
of Dragons.
I mean, I also like I don't want to, like I was saying, there's always been an element of Scary Tori throughout, whether it's the writing, the delivery, all kinds of things. But I mean, I don't want to like to try to pinpoint like an epicenter of Scary Tori, but like The Waitress is the epicenter of Scary Tori, and that is Under the Pink, like that scream and just calling her a bitch. I don't know, just it feels very powerful. But then, of course, the live iterations later. So I think there's a lot of
Yeah.
Scary Tori power.
Well, it's the I believe in peace, bitch. It's that
Right.
It's the insistence that I believe in peace.
Bitch.
It's that unspoken contrast to like what will happen to you if I didn't believe in peace, right?
Mm-hmm.
The promise of what I would do to you if I wasn't a pacifist, right? Although it's hard to believe that she is one.
No,
Tori
we
calls
never
herself a
thought.
mercenary quite a bit later on, but Cornflake Girl again, not something that you would consider Scary Tori, but knowing what inspired the song, right? Knowing that female genital mutilation, possessing the secret of joy, and just sort of the strange, like, the strange juxtaposition of familiar imagery that unsettles you and unnerves you, and the sort of overlapping vocals, and the man with the golden gun and the pleading rabbit, where'd you put the keys, girl? Like there's something so unnerving about that, right? And the music videos were both respectively quite creepy as well. The UK one sort of had this twist on Wizard of Oz and the Twister and the women who look like models who were like wrapping ropes around, putting each other like in headlocks and like doing these weird like frozen images of violence. And then you have the US one where they are cooking a man alive.
Hmm.
they put the hot man in the pot and they dance around him, and this is witch shit, you know? They're trying to cook him. So it's there, right? But it's there with a bit of a wink. When we get to Boys for Pele, there's something more primal happening there on record and in concert, right?
Yeah, there's no more winking.
No.
Full tilt gothic.
Yeah, both.
When Joey, you mentioned that Tori, you know, may be a horror fan, but I think one of the things that I don't know. I'm so scared of scary movies, so I can't even. But I just like all the scariness in the world, the real world. I don't need it in a movie.
Your wig is a scarf now. Wow.
I know, it's really good. I think about Tubular Bells as the intro to Father Lucifer, and when that became a thing. And I don't know enough about, I was always curious about, like, you know, why. You want to talk more about Father Lucifer generally? Because I think that's also like kind of like an epicenter of freakiness. I think Matthew can take
in the
this.
90s. I think Matthew knows all about. He's a
I'm
Ellen
like dying
Burstyn,
to talk about it.
Okay, great.
Ellen Burstyn scholar, so he can certainly tackle the Exorcist talk. Yeah.
So
Tubular Bells, you know, is like the theme to the movie The Exorcist. So putting it with Father Lucifer makes very poetic sense, and it's, I think, very cool to explore those Hollywood connections because that's such an iconic piece of music, and to tie it to your own piece of music where you're talking about meeting the devil when you're high on a psychedelic drug, I think is like a perverse stroke of genius, you know? Yeah. Well, and yes, Ellen Burstyn scholar right here. Yes.
Also, don't forget that at many performances of original sensuality, in 2005, in the beginning intro, she would do a little bit of Tubular Bells as well before she moved into the song. I think it's probably iconic to Tori because she was a child when that movie came out, right? Or almost a teenager, maybe?
Yes.
It's hard for us to imagine the impact that that movie had, but The Exorcist rocked people. Like, people, you know, we have so many movies come out all the time, but whenever a movie is the first to do something, especially in the horror genre, when you see something for the very first time, eventually it sort of like thins and dilutes. And like, even if you haven't seen The Exorcist, you know The Exorcist, you know the pea soup being vomited, you know the head turning, right? You know all these random things because it's part of, you know, sort of pop culture, and it lives on in the zeitgeist in different ways through parody, through remake, through, you know, whatever. But Tori was old enough to have, I don't know that she saw it in the theater. I'd be shocked if, you know, her when she finally got to see it, it was probably because her brother, you know, was able to sneak Tori to watch it somewhere after its release. I think that the way it's sort of, a lot more people went to church after that movie came out. People had like seizures during it. People passed out. People were genuinely like in belief that they were cursed or hexed for having watched it. Like, they had, you know, blasphemed, that they had done something wrong for watching a film because it was doing, you know, and also because the demon, because the devil chose this young girl to come through and to mutilate and to torment and to harm and to force her to do awful, violent things to other people. It really just, like, you know, for like, it sent a wave of panic through a lot of the country about like what evils could be lurking. So I think that for Tori to then put that into performances, right, to make it in 96, the song, you know, morphed into Tubular Bells when it was played live, right? Especially when the actual song Father Lucifer itself there's a gentility to it, right? There's like a coquettishness to Father Lucifer. There's like, the lyrics don't really make a lot of sense. You're wondering, like, who are the Lizzies? Are these, you know, the reptile people from whatever, you know, I forget what book that comes from, but there's the Lizzies that are the lizard people. And then there's the Lizzies from the Warriors. And then there's Lizzie Borden. And it's like, what is she talking about? You know, like, which one, right? And maybe all of them, right? Maybe she's sort of like, but so she's doing something kind of strange with that song to begin with. But we should point out that Father Lucifer, despite it being the one that's most directly about hell and Satan and the underworld on that record, is light. It's breezy. And that's the
Right.
creepy thing,
Right.
right? It's the lightness of it. It's this sort of sigh that begins the song. Nothing's going to stop me from floating, right? In The Exorcist, Reagan famously levitates off the bed, right? The whole bed comes up with her, and then she goes up by herself, right? So I can't help but think about that in connection to Tubular Bells, right? And so there's a sweetness to the way she sings about the devil on that song, but then you get to like other matters of the heart on Boys for Pele, and they're so much more violent, they're so much more aggressive, they're so much
Right.
scarier, right? So there's an interesting sort of like flipping of the script that she does on Pele. But when it came to live performance, like no song, no matter how tender, was safe from
Mm-hmm.
that sort of
Explosion. Yeah.
Children of the Corn kind of like demon that was moving through her body at every show, in every song, right?
Before we get too far away from Father Lucifer, which, I mean, God, I guess we're going to have to because it's already been like 45 minutes and that's like one song. But we've talked a lot about these moments where there's like late night TV and these kind of like iconic TV performances. And one always stands out to me, which is Tori doing Father Lucifer on Letterman in 96. And I do want to
Mhm.
share a clip of it for either people who've listened to it and know it well and just want to remember that Tori Amos went on in this like beautiful little kind of like beautiful sweet little kind of sundress, or not a sundress, but like it's almost like a slinky little summer's day dress, like this beautiful
It may have been
impressionist
pants,
style hair.
actually.
Well, either way, she does Tubular Bells at the
Gay,
end of
gay,
the
gay.
song. And it's just like,
On national
again,
TV.
Letterman, 1996, like what a time. So here, let me share a little bit of that really quickly with our listeners.
The glass, you only glare.
What do you think they were thinking? Do you think they were scared?
Yes, very. Especially that, Mason.
I would have been like, what's happening?
And Caden's guitar is, yeah.
You always did prefer the drizzle to the rain. He says I run and then I run from him and then I run and then I run. I say, run and then I just go say, run away, turn away, run away, turn away, run away. Run away, turn away, run away, turn away, run away. Run away, turn away, run away, turn away. Run away, turn away, run away, turn away, run away. You never look so sad.
Ugh.
I mean, the balls that she
Okay.
had on her at those performances in the 90s, like she
Mhm.
just rolled up and did that, you know?
I know.
Unreal.
I know. What a time. I can't believe that was TV, like network TV.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like one of the
Great.
biggest night shows in the world.
big.
And that's how she, was using
I
her
would
slot.
I'd be so interested to have been in the audience, especially, of course, the Tory fans, like we go anywhere and we're captive. But, we've been in the audience in those moments where you can hear a pin drop. I bet it was like that in that studio. But many of the people didn't know Tori. Or they knew her, but maybe they didn't know that she would pull that out. So that's really cool.
She was good at sort of confounding people a lot. And I think that's probably what was happening in that audience, right? Like, and I think that she sort of got off a little bit on people who didn't know her music, like when she was doing a live show. Like, she changed in like post Scarlet's Walk. I think she became a little more like, focused on like playing the single and being more structured. But in the 90s, I mean, I think she relished that people were sort of like, what is going on?
Yes.
What is this song,
Yes.
I think that she yeah, she got a charge from it, as she
Mhm.
should. She was, she's a true artist, and it was like, I'm not gonna just like play Carlisle scenes with the backing tape for 6 months,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think like what was happening in Tori's life was just so unbearably awful. 98 and 99 were such a dark time, and it came through all the music, even the songs that I think were more accessible. That pain was so palpable. Maddie, did you write that Spark was kind of scary, or was that you, Joey?
I wrote that. Choir
Okay.
Girl itself, Choir Girl in
It's
general
scary,
is kind
yeah.
of scary. Choir Girl like is dark.
Mhm.
It is of a very specific moment, but like the Spark video is terrifying. It's a brilliant, brilliant video, but it is scary. I wrote that it feels like the video is capturing visually what it feels like to be sort of like trapped in one's own like infertility or struggles with you know, their very essence as like a woman, as a being. Like she's trapped inside of herself, like that like who's after her, like in that video, who's got her in the trunk, who is she trying to escape, why is she being led back to that? It's like there's just a cycle of you know um she says those blonde twins in the car who don't rescue her are supposed to be angels who are like, nah. And it's like,
Mm.
that's not the job of angels. They're not supposed to be like, we'll just leave you here,
Yeah.
So that video really like encompasses a darkness, and the fact that that album starts with that and then goes to Cruel, which is creepy in its way, right? And Black
Mhm.
Dove is pretty creepy too. It's
Creepy
beautiful,
as
but
hell.
it's a
Yeah.
pretty scary song. So Choir Girl in general
Yeah.
really ticks the boxes of that sort of like gothic, and not to mention that juxtaposed with the way she was experimenting with sound and
Mhm.
electronica and synthesizers, and not afraid for things to sound, not ugly, because I don't think that that's the right word for it, but for things to sound menacing, or
Mhm.
for like sounds to obscure the vocals, and
Mhm.
for the sort of just the performance of the songs as well. I mean, this has always been true. She is theatrical in her delivery, but there's something just really like Choir Girl just feels like, it feels like a movie to me, like it feels like characters in a film. And she says it's
Yeah.
all these different girls inhabiting this one hotel, right? But yes, I did write that and I do stand by it. And I think it's part of the reason why she was able, we go back to Waitress in 96, I mean 98, and that sort of development of that song is like that's like Waitress Live is sort of collective mania. It's like everybody together while she is stretching and stretching that hang 10,
Mm.
right? Just like she's taking us on a very, very dark journey with her. And it can't really be replicated, although she came pretty close in 2023 in New
She
York
did.
City.
God.
It was pretty rad. But in 98, it was just like every night, every night, every night, and just where it started to where it went. Maybe we can do a side by side of like a, club show ending to a later in the tour towards the end. But, yeah, like sort of mass hysteria. Like people were passing out. People were like pushing to get closer and closer to her. It was like she
Mhm.
was, like I hate to be reductive and just keep saying like witchy or like,
Right.
witchery, but it felt like that. Like she was just like squeezing everybody together in that moment and like sucking off the energy of everybody. And I don't know, it was just, that is such a moment in time, and it's scary.
You know,
It's an unnerving, yeah.
I'm gonna play shortly a clip of the climax of the "I Believe in Peace" from Madison Square Garden, Joey MSG in 1998. But you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that scene in Midsommar where they're all
Mm.
together and I don't even know, what are they
When
doing?
they're
They're
crying
breathing, they're
together.
screaming, they're crying. Yes.
Yeah, the mass crying in unison. Yeah, yeah.
Dude, that shit is and that is, and I mean that in the best way possible, obviously, but just this kind of collective audience, again, exorcism, I've probably said that word a few times, but that's what it feels like here. Let's definitely do like a side by side, because
Yeah.
How many years in between? Almost 25 years in between, and they really are equally powerful. And you're just like hanging on for that transition. Let's do
You know
that
what's
real quick.
one thing I say really quick that's
Yeah.
funny? I've been trying to imagine ways in which Tori, it was announced that she would have 3 female backing vocalists with her on the next tour. And I've been thinking about ways that she could use them. And I don't think it'll happen this way, but part of me sort of imagined like her ending shows with the waitress in this style and these 3 backing vocalists, like just like kneeling before her, doing
Ooh.
that breathy like
Ooh.
imagine like 3 voices like doing that, like, and looking up at her while she's just like performing, and like just this I don't know, like sort of
Mhm.
maenads like worshiping at the goddess.
I like it.
I don't know if that's the route she'll go, but it's the route that
I would love that.
Yeah.
Here, let's see this hoe do this thing.
Yes.
You ready? Do you think I can lose the wig too?
Yes.
It's really hurting my head. Oh, the arm. Here we go. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's so good!
And she had the fucking flu. She had the flu at that show. Can you imagine what it must have been like when they were rehearsing for that tour? And she was like, guys, I have an idea. How about I end with just wait? Like, she's like, just play me out while I do this. Like, can you imagine what they must have
No.
been thinking? Amazing.
There's a lot of trust there. And that was just like 3 people trusting her and her trusting them. It's a good little group that was.
A little boy trusting a little girl trusting her.
Here we go.
We skip Professional Widow, Merry Widow, which is one of the ultimate creep fests. And again, slapped on a commercial single for many people to hear and be. I mean, Professional Widow in itself is a scary track. Like that is, she says it is her Macbeth, Lady Macbeth, that harpsichord, the production, the like everything about it is just like what are we listening to? It is like, it is just like you are immersed in pure rage. Like this is like not in a diminutive way. I say it in like a true, that it, like you are like inside like feminine rage in that song, or Tori's specific feminine rage. Like it's very
scary.
It's scary. It's really scary. The
remember
ending is scary.
The Merry Widow version, I remember being like, dude, how could you make a creepy song even fucking creepier? You know what I mean?
by cutting most of it out too, which is also a bizarre.
I know.
You know,
Yeah, I don't
it
know.
took a long time to get a full version of that song because she did not. Yeah, it was 99, I guess, when she did it, and it's awesome with the band. It's just, and it has a different flavor to it. But yeah, it is. Professional Widow, the life of that song, the life cycle of that song it's hard to even describe because like what is even going on in the Merry Widow version? You know what I mean? Like it's such a
Yeah.
strange experience.
It's like a total deconstruction. It's like when you order ratatouille
Yeah.
and they give you like tomatoes and you don't understand, but it's like somehow the flavor's all there and it's just like backwards somehow. It's the same kind of thing, you know? And we didn't even talk about Blood Roses. God, fuck. Y'all, we should have done this in like 2 or 3 episodes.
I know.
We never talk about Blood Roses because apparently the three of us think that it either sucks or doesn't matter or it's not a good song, but we never talk about it.
That is not true.
Literally one of her best songs, but it definitely belongs on a Scary Tori discussion.
So, okay, listen, let's talk about this real quick. Blood Roses was one of my... Let's do it. It was one of my first favorite Tori songs. And do you remember, Joey, jumping ahead in 2002? Actually, Maddie, it may have been that, or 2003 at that Chicago Scarlet show. I asked her to play Blood Roses. And she's like, try again, honey, not on this tour. Like she was just like, no, like and then I said cooling and she was like, got it, wrote it down, you know? But I remember being like, oh, like I understood why, but I remember her being like making a call. She has decided she is not going to play that song this tour.
Yeah.
Which made sense, but also part of me was sad, even though we had plenty of scary, you know, feral Tori on that tour at the time. I mean, I think like Ohio or Pancake with the Ohio Bridge is a really, really great example. There's plenty. I mean, Sweet Sangria, there's plenty of moments. But I remember being like, I really thought that Blood Roses still had a place. But Blood Roses 99, I think that is one of the... Okay.
That is scary.
So that...
Yeah.
When I think back to the moments where I've seen Scary Tori live, that's probably my first earliest of myself at a live show being like, holy shit, at Blood Roses 99, she fell off her piano bench and she kind of fell backwards. And in my memory, I don't know, I haven't seen a video of it anytime recently, but she fell backwards and the piano bench kind of fell on her and she was still playing the piano and she looked possessed. I did not understand how she was still touching the piano. The guys didn't break. It was just this whole, I don't even know. And somebody propped her stool up and she got right back on it and she didn't break once the whole time. That shit was scary. And those versions were like 12 minutes long.
Our Pop Matters Spotlight, Maddie, I think I may have written up about Blood Roses and I specifically mentioned 99. And I remember saying something like, part of the I should have pulled it up to the exact quote, but part of the thing that made it so eerie was that the sounds that we were hearing. First of all, let's not forget the fact that for her to be like basically rearranging a song that's only a few years old the way she did, right?
Yes.
Like it just sounded so much different at moments of capturing like the essence of the original version, but it was really its own thing. But I noted that the sounds coming out of her and the band and, you know, like they resembled nothing in nature. It was like Blood Roses is such a primal, like it feels like a cracking open of the chest and heart beating out of a song. Waking off. She snatched her own wig.
I gotta fucking return this shit. This is too hot for me.
But and yet then the new version of it sort of sidesteps all of the organic qualities of the song, right? When she's doing it with it. And also, to be fair to us, we did a whole fabulous Boys for Pele episode that ended season 1. And Boys for Pele, on the whole, you can sort of like pluck it and say, this is scary Tori Amos. Even when it's beautiful, the whole thing is scary because the whole thing is so it would be, we wouldn't be doing it justice if we just, you know, plucked a few songs because the whole record is imbued with that kind of, oh, your hair looks great out of the wig.
Thanks. This is from all the sweating underneath
It's
the
great.
wig cap.
Yeah. But the whole album is just imbued and infused with this darkness. We've got Little Amsterdam. I mean, even Tallulah is creepy. You know what I mean? Like there's like
Yeah.
moments, or just even in the most beautiful of songs, like Putting the Damage On has like a ghost story, you know? Like there's just Marianne is a ghost story.
Hey Jupiter.
Hey Jupiter is a ghost story.
Oh,
Like
hello.
the whole record, right?
I always think that Beauty Queen Horses has a spectral quality to it as
Yeah.
well. You know,
Yes.
it's not maybe explicitly in the writing, but it's definitely in the vibe and the feeling. Yep.
Yeah, and the Leslie cabinet that she uses in Horses just like feels, it just like does that, it just makes it subtly off, that suddenly you're entering this like other realm, right? So the whole record really belongs to that, like, and I think my memory is that we talked a lot about this stuff when we talked about Boys to Pele. That was a supersized episode, so I don't want us to feel like we're ignoring that, because I think we're very much aware of it. But I also want to talk about things that are maybe a little bit more surprising. Like, if we can jump a bit, it suddenly dawned on me, like, I'm normally attracted to Sin may in some ways feel like the most horror movie adjacent record. There are so many songs on there that feel, because Maddie has definitely talked about the cinematic film noir feeling of that album, but Give is basically a vampire. Like, that's like the POV of a vampire. You've got Strong Black Vine, which is just like the horrors of war and blood and oil, and it's very, very, it just ratchets up. And we talked about those incredible Strong Black Vine closing performances. Chris and I do believe that we saw the best one ever in Philly, 2009, the one that's on YouTube. You know, Starling, the verses feel very much like they're plucked out of a scary movie, and I can't help but think of Clarice Starling from Silence of the Lambs with Starling. Lady in Blue feels like sort of, Fatal Attraction, or these, domestic thrillers. There's just so much about that record that like actually feels, Police Me, like Invasion of the fucking Body Snatchers. Like the title track feels like, you could be walking through a haunted house. Like there's a lot of spooky shit that's happening on I'm Normally Attracted to Sin. Thoughts?
Yes.
I got hung up because when I think about the most like horror adjacent album, I think Night of Hunters, I guess, because of, the shattering and all.
Well, I think Shattering Sea and Star Whisperer for sure, but I also feel
Yeah.
like there's a lot of beauty and light on that album too. But it definitely goes, it goes into that territory.
Again, the theme that we're sort of discovering with Scary Tori is not necessarily like traditionally scary, but just kind of in touch with the other world, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely the case on Night of Hunters. It's very much like walking with spirits on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I concur. You touched really briefly, Kristen, in the beginning about Me and a Gun and that infamous performance in 07.
Yeah.
And I wonder if we want to talk a little bit about 07 and the ways in which she, infused the shows, especially when she was Pip, with that sort of horror edge. When we're thinking about Smokey Joe, we're thinking about Cruel, right? Me and a Gun. I don't know. What do y'all want to say about that? Because I know I know it's very beloved within this circle.
Maddie, what do you think about all those days?
I think it's interesting, like, to watch because those elements are not present in the other parts of her performances during that era. So if it's an Isabel performance, it's not really scary or that intense. Clyde could get a little intense here and there. Santa, obviously not intense or scary. And Tori could just come out and be Tori. So I think having that Pip character to sort of channel all of the aggression and violence through must have been a really interesting experiment for her, because it's so much more rigid to do it that way than in her sort of natural performance element where she could just let it come out organically. She had to sort of maybe even manufacture it every night for when she was doing Pip. But I think those performances were really scary and unpredictable and thrilling to watch, for no other reason than there were moments where she was separated from the piano, which, like, can you think of
Yeah.
anything scarier than Tori Amos
Yeah.
separated from her piano? Like,
That's a
that's
really good point.
fascinating.
Ooh, I
you
like
know?
that.
Yeah.
There's I think I did reference the famous Me and a Gun as Pip, and I think, Me and a Gun with the band was very jarring, and then of course, like the element of the knife and all of that, and there was just so much like hate, right? Like it's almost like from a perspective of a different character. Like, is it Pip? Is it a different Tori character? I don't know, but it feels like a totally different story and song in that way. Or maybe it's from the perpetrators, a little bit more. It's just like there's a lot of anger and a lot of vitriol in it. One of the Pip performances that lives rent free in my head is one of our most beloved songs is Smokey Joe. From what show is it where she's doing the push-ups?
I think,
Oh, does she
didn't
it
she
for
do
all of them?
push-ups in New York too? I feel like maybe she did
Maybe.
push-ups all the time.
Because, like, I didn't think she was doing push-ups. I thought she was, like, getting fucked. You know what I mean? That's what I thought was happening. But,
Maybe
I mean, maybe a little
both.
bit of both.
Yeah.
Here, let's just jog your memory for a minute. Because this shit was wild. And exactly what you said, Matt. What's scarier? The Tori Amos being separated from her piano in performance, in a show, doing push-ups. Like, what? This happened. See, she's getting fucked there. That's not
Hey,
a push-up.
maybe that's not a push-up after all.
Oh, there's an arm. I don't remember that. This is the definition. Oh my gosh, she's on her knees. That's odd, though. This song is truly unnerving. Ooh.
Was this the same show that she did Me and a Gun at?
No.
Okay, it was a different show.
Staying on Smokey Joe for a second,
Yeah.
then you go to like the NPR La Pause en Rouge performance with the octet, and there's something also quite chilling about that in a very different way, right?
Yeah. Wait, no, that was the same show, I think.
Was it the same
Maddie.
show? Wow.
Yeah.
It was
The
Chicago.
Chicago one. Uh-huh.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
so
she was
intense. Those songs together in the same set. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Smokey
Dude.
Joe and Me and a Gun together. I mean, those songs do sort of have some resonance when they're speaking to each other, right? They really, when they're in dialogue with one another, they're even more powerful. You can sort of see a through line with both songs.
I'm curious as we start to round the corner on the episode, because we could probably go on for 2 more hours.
Yeah, we really could. And people are going to be mad at so many things that we've skipped, by the way. We know.
Well, so that's what I want to do. I want to just sort of rapid fire other moments that we know that. So, for example, I'm thinking about every live performance in '96 of Losing My Religion. Like, that is Scary Tori. Her cover of that, it's so subdued and staid on the Higher Learning soundtrack, and used so beautifully. And I mean, I love her contributions to the Higher Learning soundtrack so much. Butterfly and Losing My Religion, they're used impeccably in the movie. But those live performances, I'm thinking of like, was it the K-Rock Christmas, or like there was some like Christmas like festival that she did 96, and she comes out and she does Losing My Religion, and she is just like demonically just like fucking like roaring into the microphone the whole performance. It is a lot. And I can like visualize. There we go. I think there we go.
Like right away. We're just getting
You got
there.
it.
Man, this was a
Some
Christmas
people
show.
screaming for her.
This is a great song.
You're so sure you knew me. You sure losing my religion.
Hello.
I
That is a
mean,
woman going through it. It breaks my heart.
yeah, but it's fucking great at the same
That's good.
time.
I want to bring a moment up for me that we chose as our number one most underrated song. Also, I think quite a scary song, Suede. Also from
Yeah.
that album, Juarez. Those two songs,
Yes.
definite horror movie stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Juarez, the studio version is truly scary.
Yes.
And then she did those solo piano versions that began with her just sort of like tapping into the piano and playing sort of like stray notes, and then just like
Mhm.
ending in this like cathartic "No Angel Came for My Little Girl," just soaring. Just, I mean, and just, I think the first time she did that was that there was a random solo London show, right? Which I think she infamously came out and stood. Speaking of being a gun, she opened the show by walking out, standing at a microphone, and singing "Mean a Gun," and then going to the piano, which was also just like what a like random, like
Mhm.
startling move to make. Yeah, but every iteration of Juarez is just like, even on the 2022 tour, I think Juarez was like very eerie, and it can't be anything but because of, given like what the song is. You know, she described the studio version as the music playing in from the radio of the guys who are raping and murdering
Perpetrator.
the women outside of the
Yes.
car, and which is just like, and that feels like a precursor as well to 97 Bonnie and Clyde, right? Like she's in that mind, she's in that sort of headspace, thinking about the sort of uh playing both those roles in the song, right?
Well, and
Of the
that's,
victim
and
and the
y'all,
perpetrator.
yeah, and y'all caught that when I made that reference at the, the Pip '07, Me and a Gun. But that's that same vibe, sound, feeling. And that's why I
Mhm.
wonder if that's what's happening in that Pip, Me and a Gun. But yeah, the concept of that being the song playing on the radio, and like it just gives you such a vivid image. That's why I love hearing about the things happening in the background, knowing that there was that box that she
Yeah.
recorded 97 Bonnie and Clyde, all those things. It just adds so much color.
Well, I mean, I think the version that I just said is sort of a quintessential
I'm trying to find it.
Juarez. It's London. I think it's 99, or it might be.
Was it
It could have
2001?
been. It could have been 2000. No, because she had like her like frizzy shorter hair. So I think it was
Oh, okay.
I think it was after the 5.5 weeks and the, to Texas and back, or whatever it was that she
Oh,
did. Like, I think it's its own
I think it's
show.
this one here. Wait, maybe it is. Maybe not.
Maybe.
Here, let me see.
Let's
This
see.
doesn't have video, but it has audio. So
That's it.
good.
That version is scarier because it's so personal. It's like personal horror, whereas the original is taking on a big subject and a bunch of missing women and murdered
Yeah.
women. That's crazy to me thinking about it just in the moment that a song like that can be so versatile and so terrifying for two completely different reasons, two completely
Yeah.
different versions. That's fascinating.
Yeah, I
That
agree.
shit is so sad. Scary, sad. And
She does scary sad really well. She sort of blends those two together in general. I also want to touch upon, sort of unexpectedly, something that I think gets overlooked as sort of a scary moment. I love when she closed with IIE in 2014. And that feels like scary Tori to me too. On the organ, sort of slow, meditative,
Mhm.
and just sort of the way she transitions to the I know we're dying here on the organ, and then she switches to the piano for the bridge into the rest of the song, and it's just so strong and so forceful. But I just think there's something about, it's not always true, but there's something about the organ. And I'm thinking back to Professional Widow, Merry Widow mix, or version. And also thinking about, she was using the harmonium, which is such a physical, we've talked about it before, but she was sort of pedaling furiously while she played that, and you have to sort of like work it up to like get the sound that you want. So it's like a physical, it's different than like the Hammond organ. So she sort of really had to like will the sound when she was performing it. And I think that sort of had to do with sort of its escalation. But then you go to IIE on the Hammond organ, and there's just like, it feels like she's like closing her eyes and like entering. That's a song of womanhood, of the desire for motherhood, the confronting of, death in all sort of manners of a relationship, physical death of, a would-be child, death of the connection, death of security. But then you have this sort of funeral dirgy kind of sound that accompanies it as she is working through that song live in that way. And I think it just gets sort of overlooked, but I think there's a real scary element to it. And I connect it also to the Beekeeper live, which they're different beasts, and the Beekeeper live was like 14 minutes long sometimes.
Yes.
But talk about like a true like dirge, like just sort of like saying, all right, you're all going to come with me. And also the fact that she's in like these like pretty dresses, and she was so feminine in aesthetic on the Beekeeper tour. And then for her to just like close out the night with this just like hypnotic, commanding, but really rigorous journey with us, just it felt life or death or something in that moment. And that's scary too. And then she would turn up the bass on it at the very end and sort of like rattle all of us, like sort of induce us feeling of that feeling of grief, like almost forcing us to share it with her in a way that felt really, really, I don't know, it felt like it crossed a boundary almost in a good way,
It's like the rumble pack at the theater.
I
Yes,
always
Maddie.
think of Ingmar Bergman's great film, The Seventh Seal. When I hear The Beekeeper, in that film, Max von Sydow is playing chess with death. And I always think of The Beekeeper as Tori playing chess with death, and it's so chilling. That image just really, the cinematic image from the movie The Seventh Seal is so iconic and so bonkers, and I just always sort of get that same vibe when I hear The Beekeeper.
That's great. That's an excellent analogy.
That song is dark. Like, I think we talked about, even that imagery, that art, I think, it's kind of got like an early 2000s shine on it, but like that image of like the kind of tree of life or whatever's happening in the background is so creepy. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's dark.
Can you two tell me a little bit more? I wasn't there for it. I've heard recordings, but I want to know about this wampum prayer that you two
I pulled it right out.
Good.
I think I'm going to force everybody to almost watch the entire thing right here with us.
Why not?
And
Let's
then, so Maddie, should we play it and then we talk about what was happening in our minds? Okay, like you'll pretend like you're there, like you're me and Maddie, we're giggling around.
Because I wasn't there. I wasn't there for that with you. These bitches do tour without me sometimes.
Wait, you don't
It's not their fault. It's not their fault.
It was not the preferred
I couldn't go.
scenario.
I couldn't go. I know. Stop it.
Okay, here we go. Let's do this together. You'll never miss another show with us again, I don't think. Not after this. Not after this shit.
No.
No. Okay, Maddie and I are like second row center.
Love
Pulling
that
focus.
colonial bow.
We were like,
Is that eye contact?
with Matthew. I'm sweating.
Whew. I mean,
That's really good.
well,
It was silent.
also, like, I know people say this all the time, and it was true this time, especially for me. She was looking at me.
Right.
She was making eye contact with me during this song, and I was like, what the fuck has happened? Tori's singing a song about the Native American genocide and staring me down while using her left hand a little bit heavier than usual. It was chilling.
It was silent. It was like the air had been sucked out of the place. It was so powerful. I don't know why the lock between y'all, or whatever, maybe it was just like a safe place to look when she was channeling it. But I was sweating. I was sweating then. It brings me right back. And that's, I like to replay these shows and kind of remember that brings me right back to sitting there. And it's crazy. I don't know. I could have more of that on the next tour. I'm hoping we get more kind of reworkings of things like that.
You really like
think-
to sweat. That's what you're saying.
I think we're in for a lot of interesting stuff on the next tour. She announced everything so far in advance that I think they're really, I think how could she not, given that she now has 3 vocalists with her, which has never happened before, right? She's never had anybody, and she's never had female female energy on stage with her as well. So I think we're going to sort of see like a much different kind of sonic landscape, which I'm really looking forward to. But I think none of us can imagine what it's going to be like until we're there, which
I'm
is really
excited.
exciting. What followed Wampum Prayer, that show? What did she do after?
Let's look. I feel like I should know right away. This is not my skill set. This is not my skill set. Virginia, of course.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah,
That
that
makes
was
sense.
that was a very Scarlet heavy part of the show. The show opens with God, Ocean to Ocean, then it was Wednesday, Liquid Diamonds, which honestly could be Scarlet. Wednesday, Liquid Diamonds, Wampum, Virginia, Don't Make Me Come to Vegas.
Yeah. Oh, that's
And
good.
then Alamo for That's the Pool. I mean, it was an incredible show. Man. And then like Tom Bigby, second to last song, Big Wheel.
Well, to
17
have-
songs.
And so you have the pool, you have
You have
One from
ATN.
Prayer, and there's something there, and we talk about Mean and Gun. There's something too that happens when previously a cappella songs suddenly get music attached to them that also kind of reframes it, and I think is done with a lot of intention on her part.
Mm-hmm.
And here, like, the piano was underscoring things in a way that it just well, maybe not that it doesn't on the record, because the intimacy and the nearness of her voice when she does Wampum on the studio album is really effective, but this is just so different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really powerful. And after Liquid Diamonds, I don't know. That was a great show. Like a magic setting. Arizona. Ugh.
We didn't talk about 0 Point, which is important.
Face horror.
Yeah. I mean, that is a journey through the underworld. I mean, that is a desperate attempt to, I mean, the bridge is just so beautiful and so chilling. I'll be holding her hand till it's warm.
Yeah.
Holding her head above water. Just sort of this desperation to save. You know, I often think about, like, when songs don't make it onto the record, and, you know, she said 0 Point was this big, long song that was, like, ambitious and couldn't get on there, and I believe it. I do. But part of me wonders if it was just too raw and too revealing about what she was feeling, or it felt almost like too vulnerable and too risky to, like, she's somebody who confesses so much on record. Wonder if 0 Point just felt like she had framed that feeling in such a dark way that it almost was like too, like, she was afraid to commit it to record at that moment, right? Because it feels like such a, especially prior to her actually conceiving and having, you know, a live birth, right? So to have something that feels so, just feels like it's a reckoning with these dark forces, maybe just felt like not, I don't know. There's like a superstitious quality maybe that she just didn't want to, like, put that kind of message into the world at that time before she was able to become a mother. That's just my sort of, like,
Sure.
belief about 0 Point. 0 Point feels so clear to me. Like, if you think about it, it could, like, well, it had to be Datora or 0 Point. You can have two songs like that. 0 Point, I love Datora, and the second half of Datora is very scary. But 0 Point to me tells a really, really coherent story, like really coherent, a really specific, like, very focused narrative. And Datora feels like sonic experimentation that has its own extreme, you know, wonderful value, because I love that song. But 0 Point, like, I don't know. I think there was more to it than it's not finished. I think it was just like, I can't put this on record. That's my feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a element of, like, whimsy to Datora that 0 Point does not have, which is probably was the convenient way to, like, get out of that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there's been a lot of songs that have, you know, I mean, I always talk about Peeping Tommy, but these songs that kind of come out and they feel very, like, revealing. I think that maybe she needed time and distance to let them come.
Sure.
And I'm really glad that she did give us 0 Point. I'm really glad that a lot of these songs have come out, even if it took years.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I agree. I think sometimes with that distance, you don't feel so emotionally tied to it anymore. And it feels like okay to give it to people to hear, because you have to heal from it. And I think she probably couldn't, you know, she couldn't do that and then have people asking her to play it all tour. You know what I mean?
Time.
Like, it's just, you can't. And she'd already just given us Playboy Mommy and IIE and a very, you know, and Spark, right? So I think there was a really purposeful, like, choice made there not to, you know, I don't know for sure. She may have really not been done with it. Speaking of a song that she wasn't done with, it always feels a little scary to me. Take Me With You. That feels really eerie to me, that song. I don't know.
Do you think it's because it was, I always wondered, I feel like there's, like, two different Tories, the Tori who wrote it and the Tori who records it. Like, do you think that it's because they're essentially, it's a whole lifetime in between those two people? Or do you think it's something intrinsic about the song itself?
I think it's less the lyrics even, but the music. there's something so like Take Me With You, the sort of the piano and the box strings that JPS is playing, and something about it just feels like it's like a lost great soundtrack song somewhere, like it's scoring like a scene of lovers who've killed somebody and are running away together, or it feels like they're escaping something. Obviously, Take Me With You, but it feels like they are just like, it feels like a desire to get away. And there's something about the structure of that song and the musicality that feels sinister to me.
I can hear it.
I get a little chill when I think about it.
That's a weird time. Yeah, I know that came out, officially with a piano, right?
Yeah.
So it was kind of a weird time with all the ADP and the dress up, and I think using Pip as a vehicle for that anger. Y'all, is there anything else that is I can only imagine the comments. They're gonna be like, "Bitch,
I
did
know.
not say
I
this."
know. We've been
Dragon's creepy too. And time of dragons. Wait, look.
I think dragon is beautiful. It doesn't scare me.
She scares me.
The power of a woman's love doesn't scare me.
The woman in that song scares me. Probably because I associate it with Smokey Joe.
Yeah, because they are this fierce pairing together.
They're siblings. Yeah. Okay. Well,
Matthew?
do you think? Yeah. Like.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm wondering what Scary Tori in 2026 is going to be like. I'm so curious. Like this album, JPS said gnarly. What do we have coming?
I've actually got
I
have a good question for the two of you, actually. Thinking about sort of latter day Tori or Tori of the past like decade or so, are there moments on record, Ocean to Ocean, Geraldine's, Native Invader, that feel like they approach Scary Tori? Like may not be traditionally the way we think of Scary Tori or have thought of Scary Tori, but is there anything that sort of like steps right to the edge of that, or you could see like a live reinvention of it that would be scary or daring or kind of grab us by the throat? Maddie's nodding yes, so he's got something in mind. Go ahead.
Mermaid Muse Speaks from Tori and the Muses.
Yeah, you love that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think
shit's wicked.
It's like gripping, right?
Yeah.
And I think there could be a lot of real wacky things she could do with that live, especially with backup singers.
Man, I didn't even think about that.
I'm really hoping for some
Mermaid.
Yeah, I'm hoping for some creepy ass reimaginings. But maybe it's the mood right now. The world's tough.
We're in a dark time, so
something cathartic. I mean, like I think of Starling is like a top creepy type of songs. The themes are dark.
Yeah.
Flowers Burn to Gold from Ocean to Ocean, I think, is probably, darker than the usual latter-day Tori stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think Speaking with Trees could be finally performed live in a way that it might not be Scary Tori in a rage-filled way, because that's not the kind of song it is. But I think it could certainly be very, very haunting with background vocalists in a full band. And I think our beloved Reindeer King could, could take a dark sort of journey and become something different.
It's already dark, but you could do something really cool with it, with some reimaginings and some additional vocal layers. I think.
And I don't want to say missed opportunity, because Tori does what Tori wants to do and what feels good to her. So maybe that's not the right phrase, but I can't help but feel the void of Broken Arrow. And I just really hope that
we're getting it.
Finally, it has to happen on this tour, right? And it just feels like it's such a great, I just love that song. And I think that the verses are quite eerie, right? You have the organ, you have the way she performs it, the vocal affectation, the slight like effect on the voice.
Distortion,
and the ending, the Have We Lost Her, and just sort of that like organ and that porn tar that's happening and the vocal, it's just like, it just mixes to make something really unnerving. And I hope that we finally finally get that.
Well, if history tells us anything, we can hope, we can give specific instructions, we can even give sheet music, and we're still not going to know exactly what's going through her mind. And it's going to be a surprise, I think, for everyone, more so than usual, because this is a very new element that's being tossed into the ring with her. And, you know, maybe there will be some opportunities for some, you know, like very spooky, seance-y sort of siren cries from this group together collectively, you know?
Yes. Y'all, I want to play one last clip of our one of my favorite scary Tories, and we can say goodbye after that.
Do it.
You ready for this?
We're ready.
I love this one.
Did you make that montage?
I didn't make it. Okay.
There would be more dogs surfing if she made it.
I was going to say Turpa777.
A genius.
YouTube. Yeah, we fucking reference this video all the time. Thank you for your work. And it is an iconic, scary Tori moment. Imagine if you were the one getting out, like thrown out on your phone. She's yelling at you. It's not good.
And legend has it, that was a real misunderstanding. She was yelling at the wrong person.
I believe it. There was a lot going on.
There was a lot going on. It's true. Well, there was a lot going on in this episode, but I hope that you all enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed freestyling it for you.
Let's think of it more as a thought starter as opposed to a definitive look, okay?
Well, yeah, I mean, nothing we ever do is definitive. This is always up. It's fluid. It's up for interpretation. We're only human, and it's meant to be in dialogue with you all. So thank you for watching and listening. Please follow us on YouTube, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, download wherever you listen to podcasts. In the spirit of Halloween, it came from the closet. Queer reflections on horror. Great Christmas gift, stocking stuffer. A little too big for a stocking stuffer, but if you're into horror and into queerness, either or and, I would recommend highly. Yeah. And thank you, Matt. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you for wearing that wig, Chris. I know that
shit was hot.
You really.
I'm returning it tomorrow.
all sweaty. You're gonna give it back.
I have so much. Yeah. Fuck yeah, Amazon. Fuck right off. I have so much respect for friends who do an extension, a lace front, what have you. That was too hot for mama. And I want to say thank you to friends who have been shopping on introverted but willing to shop.com.
Nice.
We have had we've been shipping some shit.
Nice.
I think we had.
Is the merch flying off the shelves?
It kind of is a little bit. We had 3 orders today alone. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's in the air. It's tour. It's probably tour.
And also, our last episode was hugely popular.
Oh my God.
Thank you for that, by the way.
Yes.
Hello.
True.
Thank you. Let's keep it up, everybody. We love those numbers. It makes us really happy.
Yes. Yeah, do it that way so we don't have to do ads. And then Apple reviews, y'all. Don't fucking leave me hanging. Don't leave us with a 4.5.
You listen, it is almost midnight. I got to teach tomorrow morning.
We gotta go.
I got a 5-year-old's going to be up. I'm doing this all for y'all because we love it. We love you. You know, giggle all you want on that Oregon time, but I am.
Oh yeah, fuck right off.
Yeah,
we have to go to bed.
On.
All
right,
and this is gonna come out by Halloween. Can't wait to celebrate. Love you guys.
Have a spooky season, everybody.
Yeah.
Can't wait.